Good afternoon. This is the Harkivar Mountain Wilderness area. Those would be the Harkivar Mountains. And I'm going to break here to talk some anime.
Blood the Last Vampire.
Blood the Last Vampire is a horror anime from 2000. It's a short movie set back around 1960. Sai is an ancient demon killer, the last of the originals, whatever they were. She hunts down and kills blood-sucking monsters. Call them demons, vampires, oni, chiropteran, whatever. The anime uses a lot of different terms for them. To kill them, whatever they are, Saya needs a sword and her unique physical strength. Bullets just don't do enough damage. Apparently, Saya is Japanese and a lot older than she looks. But she's working for a small group of Americans who first help her locate the monsters and then clean up the mess after she's through with them. David is Saya's handler, and I really feel sorry for him. His efforts don't get much appreciation from the demanding demon slayer. After all, Saya is a lot older than he is, and she isn't much for social niceties or rules. David has found evidence of a couple of these chiropterans somewhere on the American Yokota Air Base. By evidence, I mean dead bodies. He arranges for Saya to go undercover as a transfer student at the base high school. The school's rather frumpy nurse Amano busts Saya for wandering the halls without a hall pass and escorts her to the principal's office.
ちょっと待ちなさい。校長室はどこ? Sir, this young lady here would like...
Saya, you're late. I want you to say hello to the principal.
Hello. And you do speak English?
Of course.
That nurse will show up again as she gets caught up in Saya's monster hunt. Then she screams in terror, alternately at Saya's sword and at the monsters Saya kills with it. Conveniently, the story takes place just before Halloween and the school's annual costume party. That will give us plenty of chances for false starts and provide perfect camouflage for blood-sucking monsters. Luckily, Saya can spot a chiropteran even in human form. Most of Blood is a rather simple monster hunt. Saya searches for the chiropteran, tries to get them alone where there are no witnesses, and then hacks them to death with her sword. If it wasn't for a broken sword, this simple action story would be over in 10 minutes. Thanks to that small twist, it takes a full 50 minutes for this bug hunt to play out. That doesn't leave a lot of time for character development. Saya is an angry, antisocial heroine whose existence is pretty much defined by killing monsters. The movie only hints at anything more complex in her personality. A movie so short doesn't have the luxury of filling in a lot of backstory. It's only for a few seconds near the end of the movie that we see any hint of emotion in the Slayer. It's a good moment in an otherwise pure slice-and-dice action flick. Blood rarely explains itself, but only suggests possibilities. It leaves a lot to your imagination. That's fine. It's an interesting choice to have Saya working for the Americans at a U.S. airbase, too. It means most of the dialogue is in English, with American voice talent, and even the bilingual Saya and Nurse Amano are played by Japanese actresses who more often play the role of English-speaking Japanese characters in American movies and TV productions. Saya's voice played the role of Pumpkin in Memoirs of a Geisha, and Nurse Amano currently has a recurring role on Heroes as Hero's sister. Yeah, she looks different. It does mean that for native English speakers, some of Saya's dialogue will seem a little unnatural. That's only normal for a Japanese character dealing with Americans, and it serves to emphasize her unique and isolated status. So do Saya's character designs, with mildly exaggerated lips and eyes that bulge ever so slightly. Instead of making her a beauty, they made her look hostile. Artistically, Blood the Last Vampire has a couple of interesting points. It's Production IG's first theatrical anime to integrate CGI components with hand-drawn animation. The hand-drawn characters are animated just as fluidly as the CGI, and generally the animation integration works well. It's occasionally possible to distinguish the two styles, but it also enables some really nice action shots. Director Hiroyuki Kitakubo took an interesting approach to making scenes look dark. A lot of anime, and movies too for that matter, make darkness by reducing the palette of colors to near black, giving a muddled, difficult-to-see image. For example, the 1985 Vampire Hunter D has far too many night scenes that come off as indistinct, blurry shadows moving around. In Blood, the artists create darkness by contrast with light. Whenever we have a scene in deep shadow, such as on the subway car, there's always a bright light to contrast with and emphasize the darkness. Whether it's the subway station or the halls of the school, bright fluorescent lights serve to deepen the darkness of the shadows around it. Even in daylight, they've created shadows. For example, in most anime classrooms, you usually see diffuse lighting spreading around all the characters. But in Blood, they've used sun angles to cast dark shadows across the faces of the characters. That lets them make darkness everywhere and gives the art a genuine creepy look. Blood rarely uses any background music. It prefers natural sounds, indistinct voices, isolated footsteps, mechanical clanking, or just suspenseful silence. Those are beautifully projected in a beautiful surround sound. When music is used, it's pretty much unobtrusive. I did notice that the band music at the school Halloween party was quite a throwback. I know military bases are a little more conservative than civilian communities, but seriously, Les Brown's big band sound in the 50s high school dance? I give Blood the Last Vampire 4 stars. As a theatrical movie, it's wonderfully animated, but it's kind of short and one-dimensional, so it's best to think of it perhaps as a stylish OVA. On the other hand, it's pretty enough that it may well be worth the price of a movie ticket to see it, and in a home theater, it's a really well-done action flick. As a trivia item for fans, Production I.G had asked well-known Ghost in the Shell director Mamoru Oshii to mentor a team of young, upcoming animators for future projects. Under veteran director Kita Kubo, Blood the Last Vampire is one of their projects. The anime script was written by Kenji Kamiyama, who would later write and direct the Ghost in the Shell TV series standalone complex, Morabito, and Eden of the East. Oshii himself soon wrote a novel about the Saya character, sort of. Although Blood the Last Vampire is in his book's title, Saya herself only appears on a few pages. Mostly it's people investigating Saya's mysterious organization, a conspiracy theory that would make Dan Brown wince. And if you think Oshii's movies tend to be talky, wait until you read his prose. Or perhaps don't. The character Saya also spawned an alternate version of her story from a subsequent and lengthy 2005 anime TV series, Blood Plus, which is also from Production IG. Even though it's not entirely consistent with the movie's character, it gave the creators a chance to flesh out some backstory they might have had in mind for that character. The TV series actually makes parts of the movie more interesting. There was also a 2009 live-action adaptation of Blood the Last Vampire that's twice as long as the original and expands the plot. I didn't think that expansion was really true to the anime's suggested background for Saya, and it did give in to the need to have one big final boss battle at the end. But it did keep a few scenes from the anime, such as the opening subway fight, and of course the sword in the school uniform. I'm not someone who thinks that an anime needs a live-action remake to somehow validate my tastes in entertainment. Blood the Last Vampire was released in the US by Manga Entertainment. They have a Blu-ray version out too. With all the blood and violence, this isn't for kids.
Thanks for listening.